It's overtime in Kansas City. The pass goes out toward the sideline to a wide receiver almost nobody in the building can name. A cornerback closes in to make the tackle, and the receiver shrugs him off, plants his foot, and is gone. 60 yards down the sideline, into the end zone, game over. That was the first start of Miles Austin's entire NFL career. And he only got it because the receiver in front of him, a guy the Cowboys had traded 3 draft picks to land, went down hurt the week before. Going into that afternoon, Austin had 23 catches in 3.5 seasons total. He walked off the field with 10 catches for 250 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a Dallas Cowboys single-game record that a Hall of Famer named Bob Hayes had held since 1966. He'd call it the turning point of his life. He is 6'2", he weighs 215 pounds. At the NFL Combine, he ran a 4.47 second 40-yard dash, jumped 40.5 inches, and posted an athletic score of 9.64 out of 10, one of the best ever recorded for a wide receiver. And the Dallas Cowboys got all of it for free. Not because he slipped in the draft, because he was never drafted at all. But what you probably didn't know is that Miles Austin didn't get a single Division I offer out of high school. Not one. He went to a small school in New Jersey that had never sent a player to the NFL, went completely undrafted across all 7 rounds, and then spent 3 full years on the Cowboys roster, buried on special teams with a grand total of 23 catches before anyone gave him a real chance. And that 250-yard game in Kansas City, that's not even the part of the story that stays with you. In this video, you're going to find out how the first return touchdown in Cowboys playoff history got completely buried, how one of the best athletes in the entire draft still couldn't get a single team to pick him and why, and all these years later, a Dallas receiver is still wearing his number. And that is just scratching the surface. But before we break this down for you, do me a favor and hype the video and subscribe. And with that, let's go. So how does a kid from a working class town in North Jersey with no offers and a name no scout bothered to write down end up holding a Dallas Cowboys record that a Hall of Famer set? To understand how the Cowboys landed a 2-time Pro Bowler without ever spending a pick on him, you have to go back to a working class town just outside New York City. Miles Austin was born on June 30th, 1984 in Summit, New Jersey. But his family moved to Garfield when he was 8, and that's the town that raised him. Garfield is a blue-collar, diverse, the kind of place where Friday night football matters, but the college scouts never bother to show up. His dad, Miles Austin Jr., drove a truck. His mom, Ann Austin, taught children with autism, and he has an older sister, Jennifer. And here's something that will tell you what his family was like. Years later, the first thing Miles did with his NFL money was start a foundation for the 2 places that kept him on track as a kid, the local Boys and Girls Club and a teen program back at home. So when he finally locked in on football as a senior, playing defensive back and putting up 75 tackles with 10 interceptions on his way to all-state honors, you'd figure the scholarship offers would come pouring in. They didn't. Not one Division I program offered him a thing, and the small school that did take a chance on him was about to watch this kid rewrite its entire record book. He went to Monmouth University, a small school down by the Jersey Shore, 1 full level before the big programs, and he was incredible there. 150 catches, 2,867 receiving yards, 33 touchdowns, every one of them a school record. He was the only receiver in the program history to make first team all-conference 3 different times, and he led Monmouth to back-to-back conference titles. His college coach, Kevin Callahan, called him very coachable, eager to understand the hows and whys of what he was doing on the field. But here's the problem with putting up numbers like that at a school that small. Nobody's watching. So when the 2006 draft came around, Austin had the production, and it turned out he had the athletic testing to back it up. That 9.64 score, one of the best ever for a receiver. The tape was there. The numbers were there. And what happened next still doesn't make sense. 7 rounds came and went, over 250 picks. His name was never called. Try to picture this. A kid who scored over 1,000 points in basketball, threw the javelin farther than almost anyone in the country's history, set every receiving record at his college, and tested as one of the best athletes in the entire class, and not one team in the NFL thought he was worth a single pick? So how does an undrafted kid from a school nobody's heard of end up on America's team? One phone call. Right after the draft ended, the Cowboys rang him up, not with a pick, but with an offer to come compete as an undrafted free agent. No bonus, no promises, probably a roster cut waiting at the end of it, but he took it anyways. But making the team and making the field are two completely different things. Austin made the roster, but not as a receiver. He made it on special teams. Cover the kicks, return the kicks, stay out of the way. As a rookie, he returned 29 kickoffs and barely touched the offense. Then came January 6th, 2007. The Cowboys are in Seattle for a wild card playoff game, and if you're a Cowboys fan, you already know exactly how this night ends. But for one moment, it belonged to the undrafted rookie. Third quarter, Dallas down 13-10, the season hanging by a thread, and Austin fields a kickoff, finds a crease, and takes it 93 yards to the house. It was the first kickoff return touchdown in Dallas Cowboys playoff history, and the franchise had played 55 playoff games to that point. And then the heartbreak you knew was coming. On a chip shot field goal that would have won it, Tony Romo dropped the snap on the hold, Seattle recovered, and the Cowboys lost 21-20. Austin's 93-yard touchdown got buried under one of the most painful losses in franchise history. So he went back to work. 2 more years, mostly special teams. Through 3.5 seasons in the NFL, the most explosive athlete in his entire draft class had a grand total of 23 catches, until one Sunday in Kansas City changed all of it. You already saw how that day started. Roy Williams, the starter, the guy the Cowboys had traded 3 picks to get, went down with bruised ribs. Week 5, Kansas City, Austin gets his first career start, and he goes for 250 yards and the overtime game winner, breaking a record a Hall of Famer set back in 1966. His receivers coach saw it click. He said once he became consistent, the light would come on for him. He would see such a big difference once he understood the game more. And it wasn't a fluke. The very next week, Austin went for 171 yards and 2 more touchdowns. By the end of the season, he had 81 catches for 1,320 yards, the most in the entire conference, and 11 touchdowns. First Pro Bowl, one of only 15 undrafted players in the NFL history to crack 1,000 yards in a season. The Cowboys, the team that wouldn't spend a single pick on him, suddenly couldn't pay him fast enough. They handed him a 6-year contract worth $54 million. And in 2010, he did it again. 1,041 yards and a second straight Pro Bowl. For 2 years, Miles Austin was untouchable. But then, his body turned on him. In 2011, he tore up both hamstrings at different points and missed 6 games. He described one of them like this. He said, randomly, on that one play, my other hammy just grabbed up out of nowhere. It's hard to describe how it feels, but it really hurts. The Cowboys tried everything, extra stretching, fewer reps in practice, even watching his diet. But unfortunately, in 2013, it was the end of the road. Just 24 catches, 244 yards, and 0 touchdowns. The first time he failed to score since his rookie year. The kid who had no offers, who went undrafted, who spent 3 years on special teams just to get noticed, who finally broke through and made 2 Pro Bowls and got paid. And now, in his prime, his own legs wouldn't let him run. In March of 2014, the Cowboys let him go. But even on the way out, the way his head coach described him said it all. Jason Garrett would say that Austin still acted like he was an undrafted free agent from Monmouth University. That was the whole point. Through the Pro Bowls and the $54 million, he never stopped being that kid. Austin played 1 more year in Cleveland and 1 in Philadelphia, and then he would walk away. Austin would finish with 361 catches, 5,273 yards, and 37 touchdowns. Numbers that still rank in the top 25 of all time for any undrafted players in NFL history. And then he did something totally unexpected. He went back to Monmouth, a 34-year-old husband and a father, to finish the degree he'd left behind. And he graduated. The school later put him on its board of trustees. His old coordinator in Cleveland, Kyle Shanahan, never forgot him. Shanahan said, "Miles is one of my favorite players that I have ever coached, just in terms of how on it he was. A guy like that, you're always like, hey man, if you're ever really interested in being a coach, you'd be a hell of a one." So Austin, he got into coaching. But first, in 2017, he came home, back to the Dallas Cowboys to learn the game from the front office side and the scouting department. And when Miles Austin walked back into the Cowboys building in 2017, it was not the same building he left. Dallas had moved into the Star, their 91-acre headquarters in Frisco. 11 years earlier, he walked into the Cowboys' old facility in Irving as an undrafted nobody from a school nobody had heard of, just hoping to survive the next cut. And now he walked through marble halls as a two-time Pro Bowler whose name was already in the franchise record book. That's a long way from the kickoff return team. From a working-class town in North Jersey to Italian marble floors in Frisco. From 0 Division I offers to a Cowboys record, a Hall of Famer set. From 23 catches in 3.5 years to 250 yards in a single afternoon in Kansas City. No scholarship offers, undrafted, 3 years buried on special teams, a body that finally gave out, none of it stopped him. Miles Austin, number 19, a Dallas Cowboy. And here's the part that gets me. To this day, a Cowboys receiver still wears that number 19 because of him. So every time number 19 runs out onto that field, a little piece of that undrafted kid from Garfield is still out there, still proving everybody wrong. Be sure to hype the video and subscribe. And with that, I'm out. Peace.